In his poem Fire and Ice, Robert Frost wrote, "Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. Why not both, motherfucker? I can't die twice." It was from this prolific entry into English literature that our developers drew their inspiration. That joke only works if the blocks are legitimately made from ice, though. In today's humble opinion, we're being crushed in Avalanche 2, Super Avalanche. Avalanche 2 Super Avalanche, besides being a remarkably redundant title, is a fast-paced roguelike developed by Beast Games and published by Midnight City. What? What do you mean it's not a roguelike? It's got permadeath, procedurally generated maps, and randomly generated loot and quests. It's practically Rogue. You know what? Fine. We'll call it an action platformer. Happy? The crux of the game is described simply. You are a marshmallow and it is your job to not be crushed by the multitude of falling squares raining from the sky like the world's laziest game of Tetris. While you're doing that, you also have to be sure that you're at least keeping pace with the growing pool of lava beneath you and avoiding a myriad of enemies. You also collect coins as you go along to purchase cosmetic items and badges that alter your experience, as well as provide various upgrades. But using this description of the game doesn't do it justice. Nothing is ever that easy. So let's examine the philosophical narrative behind its carefree facade. It is a game used to brainwash our youth into communism by way of religious manipulation. Don't believe me? It's all there. You, the plucky communist, survive by climbing the socially stratified world until you find yourself rubbing elbows with the upper class, bankers, and shopkeepers. But notice who it is that perishes in the lake of fire. The very same bankers and shopkeepers that are too confounded by the devil dollar that they refuse to leave their post even when faced with eternal damnation. But, Jonathan, you said that you collect coins that you use to buy wares both in-game and in the customization shop. That's not how communism works, is it? Alright, you got me. It's actually the tale of a child of a large family in the quietest of nighttime hours. Restless, you youngsters decide to have a rousing game of The Floor is Lava, and spend a few hours jumping around from furniture to furniture. Granted, it is 3 in the fucking morning, so Mom has to come in and politely warn you that if you continue making a ruckus, Dad is going to come downstairs and teach you all the locations of your asses by way of gesturing to it repeatedly and savagely with the buckle end of his belt. You all agree that it would be best to be quieter, so you start using pillows instead of furniture to soften the blow. And that's when your boy Aquarius come in. And then suddenly, "I done told you motherfucking kids once to shut the fuck up and you being loud as shit trying to get some fucking sleep before work, goddamn!" Jonathan, wait a minute, there's a cutscene that tells us what's going on. A what scene? A cutscene, you asshole, look. Oh, so an evil wizard marshmallow comes in and decides to be a douche for no good reason. So I guess it really is a simple game about jumping on blocks and avoiding lava. Huh, you'll normally be able to find Avalanche 2 Super Avalanche on the Steam store for the price of $9.99, but let me go ahead and answer your question with no. Don't buy it at that price. The game is fun, but it is by no means a $10 type of fun. You're probably going to hit it and quit it. Maybe if it's lucky you'll call it up for a midnight rendezvous and a bout of insomnia, but probably you're just going to move on pretty quickly. I'd say the $2.50 is much more reasonable, and that just so happens to be right in line with its lowest sale price of $2.49. Gameplay for this one earns an 8 out of 10. It's fun and it's simple with a highly responsive control scheme, clutch gameplay, and a rewarding system that only sometimes feels too demanding. There are more than a few times that it can easily feel like you're being ripped off in-game by unforeseen circumstances like getting trapped or crushed by a block you couldn't have possibly seen coming. But for the most part, the experience is pretty consistently engaging. Some power-ups, like the ones that let you see blocks before they fall, should be fundamental to the gameplay but aren't, which is more than a little frustrating. It's also a little weaker when playing with your keyboard simply because you don't seem to have quite as much control over your marshmallow. Ultimately though, it's a great game for when you've got some downtime, but not enough to warrant an intense gaming session. It's also great for kids. Clean, colorful, and void of any kind of depth, much less the kind of gritty and or sleazy kind that uninformed parents tend to blame gaming for exposing their children to. Value scores slightly lower at 7 out of 10 because of a few weaknesses in terms of longevity, chiefly the fact that every run ends in a way that is inherently dissatisfying. Nothing like a good death to end your flow, especially if it's one of the aforementioned deaths that can feel like you couldn't possibly have avoided it. They're all excellent points to put the game down and never pick it up again without any sort of longing or regrets at all, ever thereafter. Had the bundle have had more lower scoring games, this would have come off as even more of a weakness, but since it's been holding pretty strong up until this point, it's not too bad. As I said before, it's good for filling up a few minutes to an hour of your time, but it drops off after that unless you feel the urge to pick it up again later for a similar time frame. Overall, that leaves Avalanche 2 Super Avalanche with a 7.5 out of 10, which is pretty impressive when compared to my expectations. It's a solid little title that may be worth looking into if you enjoy highly mechanical and risk-laden platformers.